Sophia, just listen. You know, both of you seems not to know the history of this VAT on fuel products. Allow me to explain to you why it was even postponed. In 2013, when this proposal first came, the Finance Committee summoned the Cabinet Secretary and asked why we were to levy tax on fuel. The Cabinet Secretary convinced that you can go and see it in the Hansard and the records of Parliament, convinced the Finance Committee that let us effect this VAT on fuel, but defer it for 3 years, during which time we have just struck oil. During that time, we will have exploited oil. Somehow, the Finance Committee got convinced and came and presented to Parliament. A lot of us rejected this tax on fuel. There were tax on other essential commodities like bread, milk, which were passed again by tyranny of numbers by the Jubilee MPs then. Because of the outcry, I brought an amendment personally on the bread, milk and others. In fact, some others like fuel, the government rejected. So the Cabinet Secretary of Finance rejected. And so, because they had already postponed it for 3 years. Now, come 2016, the CS said, let us push it for a further 2 years because we have not realized the oil exploitation as we expected. Come 2018 now, again, we are saying circumstances have not changed. But this time round, our thinking as MPs is let us postpone it for 2 years, during which time we are going to bring an amendment to the VAT Act, an amendment to remove VAT on fuel products.
Why not
so it is a temporary measure. Why that now?
Why wasn't it in the amendment?
Why that now is this. For you to bring an amendment today on a VAT Act, it will take about 4 or 5 months to mature, to process. Now, finance bill, it is easy to bring an amendment in the finance bill because it is a bill which has timelines, and it is a bill that you just bring an amendment.
Now, there's something here very significant that has happened that I want to draw your attention to. Since the handshake between Raila Odinga and President Uhuru Kenyatta, the vast majority of parliamentarians have been supporting the president and Raila Odinga. Yeah, they have been firmly behind the handshake. But this is the first time that people seem to forget that there's a handshake. And we are hearing members of the opposition saying, no, we shall not accept what the president is proposing. And even more interesting, quite a number of legislators on the Jubilee side are also saying no. Let me also remind you that all these manenos started when the legislators rejected proposals from the executive, because the 16% VAT was one of the proposals brought from the executive to finance government. It was part of the budget read in Parliament. And legislators right across party lines said no. And that's why they passed the finance bill, postponing the implementation of this 16% VAT for another 2 years. And of course, they were being cheered on by the long-suffering people of Kenya. Now, in my view, this is an extremely dangerous development. Why do I say that? Now, let me start by telling you a story. We once had a chat with my political lecturer during Moi days. And at the time we were having this chat, Moi was facing very serious problems, because the IMF had just come in. The Kenya shilling had been liberalized. Before that, the government set the exchange rate. They decided how much the Kenya shilling would exchange to foreign currency. And now the Kenya shilling, for the first time, was put out there for market forces to decide its true value. This, of course, was very, very scary. People didn't know what would happen. And many people predicted doom, that actually the shilling would fall like a stone in value. Anyway, the long and short of it, at the time we're having this chat, Kenyans were experiencing real pain, as far as the economy was concerned. Prices of products were going up all the time, basics, and things were not good in Kenya. And of course, at the time, myself and even my political lecturer, we just wanted Moi to go as soon as possible. And I made a sweeping statement. Those days I was young and reckless. So I made a sweeping statement in front of my political lecturer. And I told him now that the economy has gone south, Moi is finished. It is just a matter of time and he'll pack his bags and go back to Kabarak. And my political lecturer responded the way he usually did. He said, rubbish. And he posed for effect. He lit his cigarette and kept me in suspense. Yeah, I had to wait to find out what he meant. And he told me the following. Moi is smart. Yeah, he's just going to make sure that he takes care of the vulnerable, the vast majority of Kenyans. Yeah, he's going to make sure that prices of basics are kept under control. Lots of money is going to be spent on relief food. And his prediction was spot on, because a few weeks after that, something very interesting happened. The chief executive of East African Industries then, yeah, this was a major company in Kenya that handled a lot of basics, was fired. Yeah, I think it was called a Mr. Wanji or something. Yeah, very, very competent person. And his firing came from State House. Now, this was very strange because this was a privately held company. This was a foreign company operating in Kenya. And yet the firing of the chief executive was instigated by State House. Why? Because he had announced some price increases in a few basic products, I think including things like Blue Band, cooking fat Kimbo, stuff like that. There were whispers that the president at that time, Moi, had told East African industry, the foreign investors, that if this man does not go, then just pack up the whole company and leave. And of course, the price increase was cancelled. East African industries were forced to look for another way to make a profit. And indeed, somebody was telling me the other day that was the beginning of many of their problems. The company never really recovered from that time when they were limping along with the Kenyan economy. And this is the time other local investors, of course politically connected, came into the market and started producing these products that were the preserve of foreign companies, things like detergent. Yeah, in those days it was only Omo, but later on now we started having other brands like Toss, Persil, etc., etc. And there was a lot of distribution of relief food. The long and short of what I'm saying is that Moi took the common man very, very seriously. Increasing the prices of certain products that affected the common man was a matter of national security, literally. And on your screens now, you can see the quote from my political lecturer. Yeah, that's why I'm saying this is a dangerous situation. Because when common people are affected, the political consequences can be mind-boggling. You see, a hungry man, a starving man, a person who has not eaten, is not reasonable. And in my view, that is the very dangerous situation the country is headed to, yeah, with this increase in fuel prices. Of course, some of us who are very comfortable in the middle class, some of us who don't know how people live in the slums, some of us who do not know how the vast majority of Kenyans live, will take this lightly. Yeah, they don't think it is serious. Yes, times are hard, but you're surviving, and you assume everybody's surviving. Oh, no, it's not like that. There are a lot of other Kenyans who are not. In other words, what I'm saying, pressure from the common man is what is causing some of these parliamentarians to speak the way they're speaking. They are well aware of the fact, yeah, that their political future may hang on what they say concerning this increase in fuel prices. And to make matters even more dangerous, the middle class, yeah, have joined in complaining and saying no, yeah, although for different reasons. In fact, let me put it very clearly like this, yeah, the vast majority of Kenyans are hungry with an H. And the middle class are angry, yeah, they're upset. Angry with an A. And why are they angry? They're angry because they know we have gotten to where we have gotten because of corruption. And that is where you're beginning to hear some very scary things from the middle class. Yeah, ideas like they want to blockade roads, cause a traffic jam, park their cars in the middle of the highway and go away in protest of the increase of fuel prices. Folks, this is a very, very dangerous development, very delicate thing that our leaders need to handle extremely delicately. If they don't, this is something that could very easily spiral out of control. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.